Wanderings. Wednesday nights, we're here to hang out with you. Hello, I'm AJ,
I am Natalie.
and we're your host of Soul Wanderings. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. I hope you join us on one of those platforms and say hello while you're in the chat room so we know that you're here and listening. Also, because we are just barely building our new platform on YouTube and our Facebook pages, make sure to like and subscribe and follow and all of that good stuff. And also, if you're new, find us on soulwanderings.com to link to all of our social media and learn a little bit more about Natalie and myself. So each week we come to you with a new topic. I come from a spiritual and energetic viewpoint, and Natalie comes from a human and technical and spiritual viewpoint. So
And
we
human
have
design.
two sides, and yeah, design. Technical was the design, but
Oh, yes.
yes, we come from very different viewpoints. And so, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun conversation. Every time I think we both learn something new while we're having the conversation. And according to the ones who give us feedback, you do as well. So, yay for
I,
that.
yes.
So, hello. How's it going, Natalie?
Oh, my goodness. I feel like I have gone through, I personally just feel like I've gone through a little bit of a ringer, a little bit of leveling up, which generally comes with some difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been through some things, but good. Life is always doing that, giving me things to learn from real life, exterior to me. Let's be in response. How are you going to respond to this? So that's been what's happening in my life recently. But I'm good. I am very entertained. I do better when I consider entertainment. I don't not take things so seriously. But I'm a Capricorn, and I also have the tendency to be serious about things. So true. I can see myself and go, really? Okay, relax. No, I'm not going to relax. Okay, then. All right.
You can be serious sometimes.
Yes. I'm very good at being serious.
I would say I used to be really serious about things, and now I'm like, meh. Selectively serious, I would say.
Well, hopefully so. There's part of that, whoa, they're going to have fun next door.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And you guys, we are, if you haven't heard, since we've come over to our platform, we come to you live from our healing studio, which has a classroom, and there's a class going on a lot of the Wednesdays. I've been trying to schedule them not on Wednesdays, but I mean, if the need is there, we place them on a Wednesday. And so you may hear some noise in the background, just adds to the experience.
It does add to the experience. So how are you?
I am groovy. You know, life has been challenging this year so far, and I have nothing but gratitude for it all, right? Because when life gives you what it gives you, it's all a choice in how you receive the experience. And I have learned that when I step into gratitude, the experiences are a lot easier to handle. And so that's where I'm at. I'm just like, yes, here we are. We're doing the things. I can't take it too seriously, but like just enjoy the journey and hold on tight. And so that's what I'm doing. And it is a practice, and I'm grateful that I am practicing this because, wow, life has a way of teaching you. And I'm really grateful for it all. So,
Oh, it really
yeah.
does. Did you see your camera? Where did you go? Your
Am
camera's
I
being
on?
funky again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really weird. We had this
Oh,
problem 2 weeks ago, and why don't you introduce the topic for us and I will
I,
play around with this, okay?
I will do that. So this is one of the topics that we have. AJ and I have conversations about different topics, and so this topic of holy ground came out in one of those discussions, and it felt really good. And what's going to be, I believe, will be a fun, dynamic part of this conversation between um, for tonight's soul wanderings is that the different perspectives about this topic of holy ground. So I was went to an event where the event was called Only the Living Die, and I've mentioned it before. And the speaker used this language, we're on holy ground here. And so I thought it'd be an interesting topic to explore and look through. And so, from that framework of where he was talking about being in a space and having the space be holy or to be attended in that way. And so, holy ground. So, as I was thinking about it and considering, um, I remember the show I used to watch many years ago. There's a lot that's embedded in our different entertainment. So the different shows that we have, the different series that we can watch on Netflix or on all the things have all this interwoven um, things to be examined and explored through this theatrical way, and there's a lot of components that are real life things to be considered and explored in that in watching the things. So there's part where they would get in fights and then they actually couldn't fight. They were using swords in this particular show on holy ground. Um, so so in in considering that, there are spaces where where to be considered as holy, to be considered in a sort of quiet or reverence ways to um, feel in different spaces. And so I get the opportunity to work on still multitasking while I'm trying to carry on this conversation here. So the part that the part that my framework was holy ground was their spaces to really be reverent and to have a bit more awareness and consideration to in when you're there. So like for instance, I do regular and consistent grief groups. So it's in a support group environment. And when you come to a support group or a gathering of people, there is some considerations that you want to attend the group, and you want to be considerate of people being vulnerable and sharing, and you don't want to spread that information around. So if you're gathering together like in a support group, mine happen to be with grief, and people are talking about their personal experiences, then you want to take that consideration of people like cracking themselves open and being vulnerable, and actually not take that and just spread that around or gossip around it. You want to be where you have to come in to the space and you have to pay to play and be available in that space. So this concept of holy ground here, there's also topics where it might be that is exploring. So in this event that I was going to, there was 140 of us that went to this event, and we were talking about death and dying and a lot of different aspects that were around dying and death and the aftermath and life. And when the speaker said, this is holy ground, that we're talking about is coming to this space, to the conversation with a greater awareness than you would have maybe just having casual dinner with people. You're going to bring a different presence to this conversation or to the listening and the talking that you would have just in something more casual. The other thing that I have learned that's beyond just is about the keeping of space. And so this is, once AJ gets back on here, it'll be part that she talks about. So pause for insight on this. Are you, and this is a question to have for you as listeners, do you have your full attention? Are you fully available to be in maybe what's a more difficult conversation? Are you open to listening to someone else's perspective, or are you locked down into your own? Because in a space that would be holy ground, there's the hold on. Okay, so we get
this is how it's gonna go down.
This is a live show.
I can't figure it out. Hi guys. Let me have one of those.
Okay, this is really good. We're live.
Compromise.
Oh.
Hello. Continue on.
Well, so then I was talking about being in a space, and since you didn't hear everything that I said,
I've been listening.
So this concept of holy ground and protection and being fully aware. So part of what I was talking about was, do you have full awareness? Are you being fully present in an interaction or in a conversation? So that aspect of holy ground. Then, because you are an expert in holding space, I have to tell you, like, props to you about being able to feel space, to see space in a way that's not my way. It's really incredible. So I want to hear a little bit about your sacred space.
That's
space
interesting
holding.
that you say that, because as many of you know, in 2012, I had a near-death experience. And when I had the experience, I was told what my purpose was. And it was specifically to hold space. And in that conversation, I was like, I'm sorry, what? What does that mean? So when you say that I do it very well, I'm like, oh, I'm living my purpose. It feels so good to be able to do what I know I'm meant to be doing.
Well, it's also another reason why you were chosen. I mean, you were chosen because you're good at it, and you would have the ultimate success. This is what I feel.
There is this really beautiful thing when you know your purpose and then you decide to live it. And when you live it, you embody it, it becomes something very natural and very easy to do. And so it hasn't been something that I've had to work hard to do, although there is hard work that's involved.
Right.
It comes very naturally and very easy for me. And we've talked about sacred spaces in the past. And I feel like that goes hand in hand with holy ground. And as far as like the whole spiritual and energetic thing to it, the spaces we keep are so important to our energetic maintenance and upkeep. We talk about holy ground. You can look at it from a viewpoint of very spiritual. Do you want to log into YouTube and so we can see comments?
Oh,
I can't reply to any comments and see what you guys are saying because this doesn't have the back end of things like mine does. So if you guys are saying anything, just give me just a minute.
Right.
But holy ground is one thing, you know, you come to the topic of holy ground from a religious standpoint. It's very different than a spiritual standpoint, and also very similar in a lot of ways because you have
there we go.
you have um you have so religion and spirituality, I believe, are the same. I just think that man really messes up the whole religion thing.
Yeah.
Right. But we all come to a place of we want to believe in something bigger than us, not understanding that we are the big thing.
Oh my gosh.
And so, oh, it's so powerful when you have the realization that the importance of you knowing like who you are and what you're made from, all these, divine pieces of creator, of your higher power. And everyone has that inside of them as well. So you're all connected. You're all pieces of this beautiful divine source. And when you have this awareness that you are a spiritual being and that you're part of creator, you start creating these sacred spaces. You start craving this holy ground. And so you have this holy ground. You look at it from a religious standpoint or spiritual standpoint, it doesn't matter. It's the spaces that we keep, and how do we keep them, and how do we keep them clean, and how do we keep them holy is what's most important. And there's a lot of ways that you can go about that. And we can go over some of those ways on how you do it and how I do it, or, how it feels when you go into these places that are holy or sacred to you. And they don't have to be in other people's spaces. It doesn't have to be a church.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a location of any kind. It literally can be inside your body. It can be inside your home. It could be wherever you decide to put that energy to make it sacred, to make it holy.
So while you were talking, just some more insight. I, like you were saying, I am a person that talks about humanness. And I see this whole human experience as that's what we're here for. Like we're here, we embody, we come into these bodies, and that's the point. So in many ways, it's all, it can really become all holy ground, that walking in your humanness and walking connected with the whole, all that is. You don't have to quest to be dead to connect with spirit. You really can connect very, very, very deeply with your humanity and respect this experience to really get it. And then this experience changes. I had a really difficult session a week or so ago with a young man who was really, really struggling, but he had experienced, he talked about, I've been in that room and I want to go back to that room. And he just was really, it was his awareness that this all is suffering, very suffering. Now, I do have an awareness that there is a lot of suffering on this planet, but it is not all, it's not everything that it is. It's not just all suffering. So with this awareness, as you connect with whatever it is, whatever ways that you're doing your connection, just keep in mind that being human is a big part of that. It's like,
Yeah.
Right. And so also because of that is a deep respect for the other human, whoever you're interacting with. This can be a very big challenge to still love and appreciate someone really deep in their humanity, their humanness. Yes, their humanness. It's raw and messy, and they just don't have, there's a lot of language called they haven't done their work. Go and do your work. People are like, what's my work? And it's like, whatever doesn't feel good, whatever doesn't feel satisfied, whatever doesn't feel peaceful. We don't have to live with those things. It's a lot easier to let go than we realize.
I definitely think it's easier to let go than it is to hold on to. Just from my own experience, there's a lot of suffering that is self induced. And if you can get into a practice of really feeling what you need to feel in order to let that go, it becomes a quicker process and the experiences aren't as challenging as they once were.
No, but I, without actually practicing something different than you're practicing, that keeps you in your story.
Mm-hmm.
People really keep their stories going on. So what does this
Mm-hmm.
have to do with holy ground? One of the things that happens as you really respect that there are spaces that need to be kept at a different level, you really drop the baggage at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take it into your home. Don't. I used to. Now I've been a lot of years working in the way that I work now, but there were a lot of years before that, and I was in therapy when I was in my 20s, which has been a while. And the therapist would say, "Leave it at the door." I didn't comprehend it. I just didn't knew how, because I would literally spend my whole therapy session talking about my coworker and how my coworker was bugging me, or was really my teacher in a way.
Yeah.
It's like
Everyone's a teacher.
everyone's a teacher. This coworker of mine would get under my skin. Then I would fret on it, and I would just be cycling on it for days, 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 days. Now, looking back at my younger self, she had to go through all of that to let me be wiser now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have gratitude for that. But I can look back and I can see how I didn't get what I'm easily talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really feel like it was easy to just let go.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. It
Right.
can be.
We can say that all we want, but until you know, you don't know. It really is a practice and an understanding. And the more you get to know yourself and um, deepen your relationship with yourself, the more that this practice will just become like second nature. It just becomes a lot easier each and every time that you do it.
So there's that adage that says our body is a temple.
Yeah.
So if we talk
Your
about
body is a holy ground.
right. So if inside, and I use this, it's really been coming up a lot more recently, and I think that probably because we're all a bit emotional this year, because there's a lot of energy going on, there's a lot of astrology alignments going on. And so saying that, and then I want to just zero in on what I want, the point that I want to make, which is if you're holding some thought,
Really
right. Did we just like lose
We're
this?
here with each other. We don't really need them.
Yeah, we can hear each other. So if you're holding a thought on the inside of you, but your mouth isn't saying that thought is still present in that space.
Yeah, because everything is energy.
Right.
And when you have that understanding, knowing that your thought can shift the experience, even if your words don't come out of your mouth, it's all the same.
Right. So we want to let go of the densest vibration that we're holding inside of our body. We want to let that go.
So, Natalie, how would you let that go?
Well, there's a simple technique that says, okay, so I'm going to listen to soul wanderings. I'm going to pick up some things, and I'm going to hear this little aspect that said, let go of the densest vibration, the thing that doesn't make you feel joy. And you take that thought and you write it on a piece of paper, and then you put it in the fire.
We talk about that a lot, or often, is the energy that's like going on inside of you is as simple as writing it out. And the practice of writing it out is the energy leaving your body. You don't reread it and you don't save it, and no one else needs to take it. So don't let them read it. You literally destroy it, and then the energy is gone. It no longer has power over you.
Yeah. So we can talk about it. You can listen about it, and you can do it. to really see the
And then
difference.
you'll be about it.
Yes, look at that. I saw what you did right there.
Just be about it. The camera keeps doing this thing because I think we're moving a lot. But
yeah,
first of all, I'm just going to stop right there and say thank you for your patience as we navigate our way through these technical things. We have been pampered by being on the station. I will give full credit to them. They did a lot for us. And when it comes to technical stuff, like, it's just not what Natalie and I do. We are in a different reality, but we are winging it and we're doing the best we can. And if you're on Facebook, I'm not logged into Facebook, so I'm not able to see your comments or questions. So if you'll hop on over to YouTube, we are logged in over at YouTube. We can see what's going on. We'll vocally reply. Unfortunately, it's just too much work to reply on the phone and be present in this conversation. So thanks again for your patience. What are ways that you hold space or have your sacred space or your holy ground?
That's so.
Like, what works for you?
I have to admit that I am not the best at doing that, other than being the best version of myself that I can be. So I think that's one of the things throughout all my experience and career with working with people. I have felt that I've onboarded. And so I carry a lot of my tools just with me. And my greatest tool really is myself. Within my framework of my human design, I'm a hermit, opportunist, which means I carry this knack or my talent with me. It's just me. Mm-hmm. So I, in a way, I really am serious. I have worked through cleaning up my thought stream. And so my negative voices that used to be in my head just don't inhabit my space anymore. So that's as I
by
talk,
choice.
Yes, I would sometimes just shut it down. I literally,
it really does come down to a choice, you guys. It really is just a choice.
It is a choice. It's a choice.
It's
to
that
say,
simple.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to live this way anymore. I remember times in my life that said, and lyrics speak to me. So I'm just songs and lyrics, and I would listen to the song that would give me a lyrical clue as to something I was going through. I would lean into that. Sometimes I would even play the song over and over and over again to just cycle through it and process the emotion, because I'm emotional. And if you listen to the show long enough, or will listen, of course, I'm always harping on design. What's my design? What's my human design? Live the way that I'm designed to operate. Mm-hmm. Because how else would I be? I mean, to me, it just makes sense to have the way that I'm designed to operate. So that's a lot of the clearing that I do, since I carry myself in the different spaces where I need to show up and be with people. Mm-hmm. I just work on being the best version of me that I can be and show up with that. Now step into another thing that I do is learning about the physical exterior space. I've had great people, you're one of them, and some other people that know how to energetically clear. I do not have the same vision as the people that I am around that can see energy the way that they can see it in the physical space. Mine comes much more through hearing. So it's an acoustic thing. So I don't really see it like that. But I have learned to trust that there's some processes that I've seen that I can do. Yeah. So I've learned to burn Palo Santo or sage, those start clearing spaces. And so that's what I've learned over the time. And I use it more frequently.
Well, that's the beautiful thing, though, right? Because we all have different abilities. We all have different gifts. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and you really can play upon yours. And so what works for Natalie, where she uses these tools and where I feel and see energy, like, what a great team, first of all. Mm-hmm. And second of all, we're meant to help support each other and empower each other. And if we were all the same, we wouldn't be able to do it in the same way that we can with our different gifts and abilities. So we do have a comment from Charles. Thank you, Charles. You always have really great input. What makes certain places so very special? My vote is usually the special thing is in is the people in it, but I have found places that seem closer to the other side.
So,
Good.
so I was thinking kind of along the lines. So, let's talk about a cemetery that could really be closer to the other side.
And I love cemeteries.
Okay.
I like to hang out in them.
They are holy ground.
They
Now,
are holy ground.
most grave sites have a dedication or a prayer over the grave. Not all, but there's many that do that. So think about all the prayers that were prayed over all the people that were laid to rest in those places.
Right.
And of course,
and not just the dedication, the loved ones who are praying there every day on visitation, on repeat, over and over and over.
right. So that's one of the things that to answer that question, is that there is continual and consistent reverence, prayer, mindfulness that's given to physical spaces that actually drives the holiness.
Yeah. I
Within
mean,
them.
same with churches.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, whether you believe in a man-made faith or not, there's still people there who believe in creator with all of their being and are laying down foundations of that love and faith. And temples, and you think of places like, one that would be really familiar with you is Sedona. Um, there's all these energetic vortexes there and all over the world, and you just feel them and know in your heart that they are sacred, that they are made of something extra special. I mean, earth in itself is a gift, right? It is a holy ground. Every place that we walk on this planet Earth is a holy ground. And it amazes me that so many of us forget how sacred the space is, and that every step that we take is to be honored and respected. The other question Charles had is, what is a good broom for sweeping out our temple?
That's definitely your...
Really?
But I mean, you probably have a good answer for that.
My answer is very simple, actually. If you want my answer,
I do.
Everything is intentional.
So it's any broom? A quickie broom from the grocery store is just fine?
I think anything you give intention to, and whatever intention it is given, is what it is. I think tools are just that. Like when I had the retail shop, which we closed down a couple of months ago, but for almost 9 years, people would come in and say, I need this specific crystal or this specific tool. And when I would ask them why, they had this beautiful created story that they came up with or someone else gave to them on how it had to look and be. And I don't look at spirituality that way. I look at it as a very personal journey and not something that is like religion where you're told how it should look and be. And so, Charles, you could get a pencil and wrap some tissue around it and dust with it like that if you wanted, or, grab a stick from a branch or something. It really
or you could
matter.
Be elaborate. So you
it doesn't need to be complicated.
You had a feather duster though that you
I still
in our
have a
old
feather
store.
duster. I love the energy of feather dusters. I am so old school when it comes to tools. Like, why are we recreating things? It's for man, it's for profit.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like we have to invest or, get super creative when it comes to tools. We are surrounded by them. And it all comes down to the intention. What does that feel like and look like for you? What does your heart say? What does your own intuition guide you to do? That's how I would answer that. I feel like you don't even need a physical object. You literally could sweep out your temple with energy from your mind. If you like the physical aspect to it, use your hands. Sweep out
and clean out your temple with your own intention and energy. Right out the door. Let the universe take care of that.
Oh, yes. Our friend was just doing that. She was pulling energy from right out to the window.
Yeah, that was good energy, by the way. I was giving you good energy.
Yes.
I would never wave it in your direction if it wasn't good.
No. I've learned so much about being around people that are mindful about the energy. And that's really one of the big things, is to increase your awareness. You can't really, us as humans, can't shift or change until we've gained a certain level of awareness.
And we get out of our own way.
Yeah.
So curious if you guys want to type up in chat if you're hanging out on YouTube, because that's all we can see tonight. I will figure out the technical stuff one day. How do you guys keep your spaces, your holy ground, clean and preserved and in alignment with who you are? Like, what are some things that you do? Maybe it might be something that someone resonates with and would like to use for themselves. Maybe you could inspire them with something that you share. Just go ahead and type it up in chat. We love when our wanderers interact with each other, and we love to hear what they say. I think it's important. This isn't just like a day or like a monthly thing or a new moon thing or a full moon thing. It's a daily thing, even could be an hourly thing, depending on what you're experiencing. There's sacredness in everything that you do. You're a sacred being, and everything is created with intention, whether you're conscious or unconscious about it. It's all intentional. It's all purposefully written in the stars, and there are no accidents. There's no accidents or coincidences. Tried to say two words in one.
Put together.
I blended.
We call that verbal shorthand.
Yes, I did that. But holy ground, and what about when you visit holy ground? How could you honor and respect another
person's
space, their holy ground, or a location? If you were to go visit one of these holy places, temples, cemeteries.
So you had talked about churches. So churches is a very regular, common example of holy ground that's been dedicated, and prayers are often there. I do find that often people just shift their behavior. They bring their Sunday best, if you want. I grew up with that, wearing your Sunday best, or you just bring and you're just not misbehaving as much. So that's an example. And that's beneficial to learn how to not misbehave as much.
Mm-hmm.
And going to another space and recognizing it as a space that someone's keeping, and to not like throw your garbage on the ground. Or would you do that? Would you do that in someone else's house?
Mm-hmm.
I used to have this I've had some friends sometimes, and this was my my description, because I have this friend that's he's taught me so much throughout the years. And I would say he's wearing muddy boots, and he would just wear his muddy boots, and that was more of like his messiness. And I just didn't want muddy boots in my day. So there was times where I learned how to just not be available sometimes. If I really wasn't energetically available, I just didn't expose myself to that and allowed myself to remain in my good, calm. I had too many experiences where I'd answer the phone, someone's in their bad day, and then it was a shared bad day, which is beneficial for a lot of the times when I'm doing it. But I don't always want to be doing that for someone all the time. So,
and we're not meant to do that for other people.
No, I guess
supporting is one thing, enabling is another.
Well, I may have been working on my codependence.
I wasn't calling you out. I'm just
No, I
sharing
mean, it's
with
true.
the audience.
Well, no, but this is part of
Yeah.
an awareness
I'm,
that
I'm
said, "Oh,
guilty.
that's
I'm
in me."
guilty. Yeah, I'm totally guilty of the same in my life. Even recently, this is like, that's the beautiful thing about life is that we get to learn lessons, and sometimes they're on repeat because we didn't get them the first time, and there's no judgment in that.
No.
It's just an awareness and a remembering that you still have work to do, and the fact that you still have work to do means that you're alive, that you are having this human experience, and there's just so much that we get to clean up in these experiences. And so if you didn't get it, it's just the universe saying, here's another opportunity for you to get it, so you don't have to take it with you, right? Because we don't want to take more stuff with us after this and wherever we go. The point of coming here is to heal a lot of those experiences and let things go.
Right. And someone needed to have the muddy boots for me to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a beautiful way to look at
And
it.
so
I love that
much
so
gratitude
much. Yeah.
for the teachers that I've had that teach me and the role that they play with that.
Yes.
The other thing that I want to bring up is the more that I've been maintaining and I work on my internal. So I want to talk just a little bit of some human design things.
Yay.
And I can so there are some 1, 2, or 3. So there's this part of the human design that's the profile. So those that are 1, 2s, or 3s are here for personal destiny. Oh, and 4s. So personal destiny, which means that we're mucking around in karma, and we're actually going through and really coming up with things that are going to need to be cleaned up.
You say muck, and I automatically am like, muck,
running amok. And then there's some others that are here to do transpersonal karma that actually interact with each other. But with my own understanding that I have personal destiny, then the more that I clean up and I am taking full responsibility for the things that are happening in my life with all my spiritual teachings, not just human design, but really coming to this awareness and saying, oh, well, if I've got a person or a friend of mine that's coming, or multiple friends that always want to come to me with muddy boots, there must be something that I'm doing. And maybe there's an aspect in me that's got muddy boots that I bring to other people's house. And so let me clean up my muddy boots.
That's an awareness, girl.
And then maybe the muddy boot people won't come to me anymore because I heal the part in me that is like that the world. So as we clean up our house, then the world so if you got a bunch of drama.
That's a really good point. And also, have you ever considered that maybe you're attracting those type of humans because you're such an amazing teacher?
Well, when people tell me that, then I consider it.
Maybe you're meant to teach muddy boot.
But I was and I was aware of that. But then it also was draining on me at certain times. So there was another lesson that I needed to learn that was like, it's okay to have office hours, even when you have a job so when you get to a God job, which I feel like I've kind of got this God job thing. Not that I'm here to be God, but I've got a job that's like God saying, hey, go and do this and be of service to me. And, those types of my God job is like, can I have hours? Yes. Oh, yes, I can have my own space and I don't have to work in my own space. This is a really my holy ground or sacred space of my home. I've had several deep lessons where that if it's a scheduled session, I'm going to work out of my house. But if it's unscheduled and someone is tapping my home space, which is my place to go and recuperate, then I have to put a stop to that. So I actually had to reinforce that. And what's interesting is as I established that framework and boundary within myself and held it, that people don't bug me as much.
Right.
In my own space.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to vocalize your intentions to anyone. Just even saying it in your heart, in your mind, or even out loud is really significant. There's massive change that can take place without attention. I'm drawing some boundaries.
Or having to have lengthy conversations or arguments
or explain yourself.
quarrels
You
or-
don't
right.
owe anyone an explanation.
That's a big thing to understand. You don't have to explain that all the time.
So setting holy ground.
Well, there is no, so energy doesn't lie. So energy just is. Energy just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't, well, I want to go back to say what's inside of you, even if you don't say it. You're like, you've got to clean that up, what's inside of you. If you have judgments on yourself, with other people, setting space for that holy ground says, well, let's take a real strong look at what do I want to keep on the inside of me? There's only one person that can hear that inner voice. Just one. Just one. So there's only one person responsible for the cleanup of that.
Back to it's an inside job, y'all. As many of our topics end up going to. It's an inside job.
That's why we call it soul wanderings.
It's part of the reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's worth it. It's worth it. And so I've learned that a lot, but I'm working a bit more in the physical space and the physicality of keeping my own personal spaces more clean.
Mm.
And I just recently had an experience where I needed to get rid of a piece of furniture because my people around me that could see energy were like, whoa, it was used. So this is another thing. Just pay attention.
She was trying to give me an aneurysm with her
it
furniture.
was horrible. It was so horrible.
Everything carries energy.
Everything carries energy. So the things that are in spaces where there's arguments or quarrels or even who knows what was associated with that piece of furniture, it needed to just be put to rest. That was a big lesson for me to learn to be okay with putting certain things to rest. Just it's okay if items can just be.
And it was a big reminder to me how energy sensitive
You are.
I am. It's quite ridiculous. Of all the places you've ever been in this lifetime, or maybe in a past life that you remember, what has been the most holy place where you have just gone and you knew you were on sacred ground?
Well, I'm just going to go with there is something that I felt when I'm around Joshua trees. So I just went to this event that was in Joshua Tree, California, which is very close to I don't know what it is about Joshua trees, but they seem to hold some interconnected network or something.
I believe all trees do that.
Well, yeah.
They are quite magical.
If you talk about that, that's like my magical backyard where I love to be, where I have two really big trees.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to actually also answer that in the opposite. What's the opposite of holy ground? So when I was young, teenager, I took a road trip and we were in some mountains in Southern California or in Northern California, and it was not holy ground. We literally left that mountain with just this, it was just this, we don't belong here energy, and we're not safe here. So there is some grounds that are opposite of holy.
Oh, yeah.
That can happen.
Energy. It's all about the energy.
Yeah. What about you?
There was this place that I haven't been to in a long time, like as an adult. But I just think back to like my first memory of when I knew that land was sacred and that land was very, very special and had something very powerful about it. So we live right where the Uinta Mountains are. And as a child, my dad would take us to the Uinta Mountains quite often. We would go fishing, we would go hiking, walking, whatever, just for day trips or even overnight. But there is this lake and there's there's, I want to say hundreds, but that's probably exaggerating. There's a lot of
maybe not.
lakes in the Uinta Mountains,
Mhm.
little ones to large ones. And there's this particular lake that had this massive rock not too far off the shore. So you did have to get into the water to go to this rock, but maybe waist high, and then you'd hop up on this rock. And not many people wanted to do that because the Uinta lakes are freezing cold. But I always was like, I want to go sit on that rock.
Oh.
And once I got to the rock, that was my go-to place. Every time we went there, I'd go sit on this rock. And there was just something really magical about being on this rock in the middle of a lake, surrounded by these mountains and all of these beautiful pine trees. And the water is my jam. The element of water is just my medicine and always has been. And just sitting there knowing that there was something very unique and very magical and very special from a young child. I think I haven't even been there since, I don't know, like my late teens, early 20s, but it's not anything that I'll ever forget because you could like literally just sit there. And whether it was day or night, you look up at the sky, at the clouds, at the stars, wherever it may be, every surrounding around you, you knew like you were surrounded by a creator. It was just ineffable. And it was such a strong thing for me that as a child, just like not even having a belief system or being raised in a religion, but that to me was it. That was special and holy for me. And I mean, I've had many experiences similar that have felt like that, but that definitely is probably my first and most memorable. Yeah.
Oh, with all your openness, your ability to feel. Mother Nature takes good care in certain places.
All right, but when you're young, you don't know what you know now.
No,
so it's
not intellectually.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go back, and I probably will go back, and the rock's probably not as far off the shore as I remember, but as a child, it was far.
Right.
I think my dad has a picture of me sitting on that rock with my big hair.
You didn't get your hair wet?
No, I didn't get my hair wet. Why would I get my hair wet? I would now, but back then I was probably a little more,
Don't want to mess up my hair.
Oh, look, we have a question from Joe. What do you do when you feel that no one cares about you when things go bad? Natalie's going to answer this one because this is Natalie's gig.
Okay, so it's interesting. Intuition's informing me. One, sometimes it's okay to throw a pity party because pity parties are necessary.
And they release energy that you don't need anymore.
Right. But we don't keep the party tent up for the pity party. So that just like any party, you put the party tents up and then we take them down after a period of time.
Clean up.
Yep. And so the other thing is not everybody shows caring the way that you would want them to because we're all different.
Mm-hmm.
So the way certain people care doesn't necessarily mean the way you would want to be cared for. There's several different modalities. The 5 love languages.
Love languages is
pretty well known.
One.
And so it is not my love language. Gifts is not my love language. It's not. And so I sometimes have people that give me gifts. And I'm like, thank you. But it doesn't speak to me the same way that
And I love giving gifts.
Well, that's good.
But it's not my love language. I just love giving them.
So there's different parts of that. The other thing is that if everything is going wrong, there's a lot of different ways to look at everything going wrong, because there's definitely the universe squeezes us to get us where we want to go. So I often find if everything's going wrong, life is often trying to get your attention.
I also feel like, to interject, I also feel like it's like an awareness for you to know that there's work to be done, like cleanup work to be done.
That's true. This is where we get real with
When
ourselves.
things are not in alignment, there's always a reason why.
That's right. And so it's letting go. Even if you want to let go of the story that people don't care. Because that often comes from somewhere else other than now.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in your life where perhaps you misinterpreted someone. It's so easy to misinterpret someone else. Because our minds will make up other people's thoughts, feelings, and motivations. We are seriously, often would just be sure. I know what that person's thinking. Now, do you? How would you know that?
Mm-hmm.
I know what they intend. How would you know that? Does anyone know your thoughts, feelings, or motivations?
Well, and his question is, what do you do when you feel? So
Right.
when you're having feelings, it's good for you to look inward and ask yourself, are these feelings real? Or is it something my mind is making up for me?
Well, that is well said, because if I answer it in human design terms, feelings don't carry any sort of truth. They just carry energy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really sort of liars, because the mind will make up all kinds of reasons, and the mind fills in the gaps and the details. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important, if you're going through an emotional experience, there's no truth in it. There's a lot of energy. There really is no truth in emotions.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to put that to test, you write down all your feelings of whatever it is in that moment. If someone, whatever you're feeling, so Joe, with that is like, write down all that and you put it in the envelope, and you look at it 7 days later.
You won't feel the same.
No, it just shifts. They're always moving. And so it's helpful to understand that. Now, there's a lot of energy in it, and there's a lot of reasons why you want to, gotta tell that person all the things, but just tell a piece of paper all the things you would tell a person, and wait for a little bit to see if you would really, really want to tell them that.
You don't even need to take the energy to write it down. You can just say it out loud.
And
Just
then
say
wait.
it out loud, and then just wait.
Just release it.
Yeah. And definitely not negating the fact that you feel the way you feel right now.
Right.
For you right now, it feels very real, or it wouldn't be a question that you had. And we're not downplaying how you feel by any means. Emotions just lose their strength as the days go by, and you shift your perspective as the days go by as well, or you come to acceptance or have realizations, and so it just moves. It moves through you. It clears out naturally on its own. We're not meant to hold on to these feelings and emotions. We're not meant to hold on to the energy that doesn't serve us. That's how illness is created in the body.
Right.
That's what they call dis-ease.
Right. Another thing to put out there along those lines is that I was just having this bubbled up in a conversation that I had earlier with my sister today, that we, in our modern world, we don't like to get uncomfortable. We don't.
Yeah. We have a lot of things that can numb us, so we don't have to feel.
Right.
Because being uncomfortable sucks.
Right. And so if you actively practice putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, take cold showers, switch things up, drive a different way home,
go for a walk.
Yeah. All of those things will actually build up your resilience, and you actually can navigate things that you couldn't navigate as the level of sensitivity that you had before, and your sensitivity level drops because you're more willing to move through something that would make you uncomfortable.
And Joe, just to add on to all of that, when you feel that no one cares about you, that is like the best opportunity for you to show up for yourself and care about yourself radically. Like, you care about you, because at the end of the day, the love you give to yourself is the most important love you can receive.
It's for sure. Got to do that hard mirror work.
Yeah.
I'm an important person. I'm amazing.
Yeah,
Something
definitely.
like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Watch it on YouTube.
whatever feels good for you,
Mhm.
right? Hopefully, Genghis is saying, be Joe 2.0. Yep. Exactly, Genghis. That's exactly correct. Like every time we level up, we're a different version of ourselves. It doesn't take away from who we truly are, like as the content of our character, but we do level up. We do have these experiences so we can become cleaner versions of ourselves. And so what you're experiencing right now is temporary. It won't last forever.
No.
And when you get through it, you look back in hindsight and be like, I'm so grateful I had that experience and I was able to show up for myself and give myself that love that I was looking for.
I remember this from a seminar that I went to that said 60 seconds of insane happiness or 2 minutes of dancing will shift.
Oh,
Something
I always
like that.
say, when in doubt, dance it out. I do. And I do it.
Now, a lot of times people will say,
I
well,
shake
that's
my
so
group day.
silly. That's so silly. And it's like, well,
That's
okay,
the point.
well, if we,
That's the point. Why are you so serious?
like we were saying, stop taking it so serious.
Yeah.
And there's times where I have to shake myself and it's like, oh yeah, let's dance.
Yeah.
Just put on some music and dance.
Yeah. And Ronald is sharing, reach out to people who can help you. We're a support team. Look at all the wanderers in there that join you every week, Joe. We're all supporting you and cheering you on. You can reach out to us by email, and anyone can. Connect@soulwanderings.com. If you need a friend, I'm constantly by my devices so that I am available to people. And so if you need to have a conversation, and Joe, if you're the Joe that I'm thinking you are, like, you know how to get a hold of me. You've called me before. I'm available to you. And
you showed up for Soul Wanderings tonight so you could hear this discussion.
You're loved. You're
That's
loved.
right.
So much love. And all of you wanderers, we love you all. We appreciate you all. And thank you for working with us through our technical difficulties and being in the flow. Is like so good. I'm going to hop on over to the other side and I'll let Natalie wrap this up.
Or do you just want, because you got to wrap it up?
I got to go turn it off on the other side.
Otherwise, it'll stay streaming.
It'll just stay streaming on you. Natalie's like, wait, what? You're going to let me what?
Oh, I get to. Yes.
So why don't you give them all of our socials and all of our things and
okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Happy day, Wanderers. It's been fun. Hopefully next week we have this figured out.
The ability to be in the flow and troubleshoot on.
Yes.
It's easy. So catch us on the Facebook Soul Wanderings, or you can check out our YouTube channel at soulwanderings.com.
Instagram at soulwanderings111.
Instagram at soulwanderings111. All the social places. And please like, share, subscribe. We're building this. We want to continue to have these conversations, and we want to expand the audience as much as possible and get a hold. Let's see, did I say? So this is not my normal thing. I love having the team that works with us, so it can be a team environment. Thank you so much for the ability to practice my gift, which is language, and share this topic. I learned a lot tonight, and I learned how to appreciate. So good night, everyone, and look forward to chatting with you next week.